Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Thunderstruck Podcast with Tori. I am your host, Tori Ancona. This is episode 17 of me covering all things Los Angeles Chargers related. Hope you guys had a really good Thanksgiving. Put your favorite Thanksgiving food in the comments if you want to share. Mine is definitely some yams, and put some cinnamon sugar on that thing. That is bussin'. Anyway, man, we are coming back from a bye week after probably the worst game of the year. Probably the worst game Justin Herbert stat line that we will ever see. Most definitely. And it was rough. And, you know, quarterbacks have bad games, but this was definitely a outlook on definitely, you know, the poor performance of Justin Herbert. That seems to always be just the highlight of, you know, the Chargers' downfall, the Chargers losing games, the Chargers not scoring is always going to be looked at as, you know, Herbert's responsibility. I will say, for the casuals who are blaming this game on Herbert, I encourage you to watch the full game. And I know you won't, you don't have the time, and, you know, you don't care. But the Chargers defense was absolutely dreadful. Like, could not stop them on third down. Too many penalties on the offensive line, and too many pressures and sacks, the usual. You know, we started Trevor Penning after the trade, and from going forward, I don't think he will be as good as a left tackle starter as Jamari Salyer, which going into this week against the Raiders, it looks like he's going to Trevor Penning is going to be on the bench, and Salyer is going to get the start at left tackle, which I've been preaching for the last few months that needs to happen. So I'm at least looking at the bright side of that, but there's also good news coming from this terrible loss. One, we are still the 5th seed, 7-4. 2, Patrick Mahomes is 6-6. If I were to tell you Patrick Mahomes, if I knocked on the door of ESPN, I'm like, hey guys, by the way, Patrick Mahomes will be 6-6 the day after Thanksgiving, they would look at me like I had a mental illness. And now you just see that, you know, stuff happens in the NFL where you're not performing as you did years prior. You're seeing it firsthand with Lamar Jackson, even for the last month, not throwing one touchdown, not scoring one touchdown. And he's playing the Browns, the Bengals, the Jets. Yeah, everybody's MVP last year, by the way. But he's injured. The Ravens have injuries. I don't want to hear it, because this is not being argued when I bring up Justin Herbert to some folks. Now, you can be like, I'm biased. Sure, but I'm coming with facts. For the past year, Justin Herbert has looked like a really solid top 5 quarterback. And, you know, you're judging him off of 2 playoff losses. One of them completely out of his control because he put up 30 points and he still lost. And he was dealing with the worst coach I've ever seen. And 2, you know, he had a poor game against the Texans. Completely not all on him if you watch the full game, which nobody does. So it's interesting to me, the overreaction about Justin Herbert losing this game, and Justin Herbert, you know, being pulled from the game after 20 attempts when he had no time to throw, and the game was already out of the hands from the get-go because the defense couldn't stop anything. So yeah, very, very rough game in Jacksonville, but how will the Chargers respond? Well, they have players coming back from injury. I think Otito Ogbonnia, the returning defensive tackle who was on IR, is going to open things up for Deshaun Hand, open things up for Naquan Jones if he starts. Tuli Pilotu, Owe, Khalil Mack. I think having more players healthy on the D-line will be really effective in the run game. The running game was not good against the Jaguars, and it showed. So having Otito Ogbonnia back is really good. And consistency at the running back position. We have Amarian Hampton making his return soon. I don't know when his status will be announced. It's probably going to be later today, but he's coming back from that horrible ankle injury that he suffered versus the Commanders in week 5, so early October. It's been a minute since we've seen him, and man, was he missed. Although Kamani Vidal has really stepped up, I will give him that. There's been many games where it's just not really that consistent. He will pop off a game and then the next week, it's not going to be the same rushing attack, because I think Kamani Vidal is a really good complement running back to whoever is starting, and that's Amarian Hampton. And honestly, that 1-2 punch could be really deadly, and we need to take advantage of that. One thing we need to do is we got to start playing Will Dissly, not because we need more weapons in the receiving game. We just need more run support. Trevor Penning actually had a pretty decent outing in the first quarter when it came to run support, but then right after that, just nothing. And we already have Hassan Haskins out for a significant amount of time, and we don't know when he's coming back. So we have Amar Johnson and Travion Williams, practice squad running backs, to start for us. It's getting sad with all these injuries, and you question, like, I've never seen this many injuries and this many rotations on an offensive lineman in an offensive lineman crew ever. And I'm not talking about just the Chargers. I'm talking about period. I've never seen so many different starting lineups, so many guys getting hurt mid-game and somebody stepping in, and it's getting ridiculous at this point. I loved the Mekhi Becton signing, but with $110 million of cap space, I was so shocked that we didn't really pull the trigger on a lot of depth pieces for, corners, linebackers, defensive linemen, and more importantly than any other position, in my opinion, when it comes to positions in need, offensive linemen. We signed a center that we're never going to play because for whatever reason, Bradley Bozeman will just be the starter no matter how much of a liability he is on the field. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It shows in the stats. It definitely shows when you're watching the game. He's the worst center in the league by far. And I'm not trying to be personal and talking Bradley Bozeman down. There's been many great Bradley Bozeman moments last year, sticking up for Herbert, probably made a block or two that was really good. But then this year, he's been absolutely dreadful to watch. So I don't understand why he's still starting, but I'm really loving the Jamari Salyer left tackle start to get some more time for Herbert to throw, because he's working with just barely any protection. So Salyer, I hope you do well. I'm knocking on wood on that. But anywho, Amarian Hampton, where was I? Amarian Hampton is back, and honestly, him in his interviews saying that he feels amazing and he's ready to go is really, really, really a good sign for a running game that, again, just hasn't been that consistent. Kamani Vidal had some games where he's popped off, but we need a consistent running game to lay off the load on Herbert a little bit, just so the play action is a little bit more effective, because once the running game isn't working, the defense can adjust right away and be like, okay, they're just not going to run the whole time, or they're not going to run at all because they're just going to throw with Herbert, right? And I understand that, why it hasn't been working. And, for the passing game, it seems to really flow against really good defenses like the Steelers defense, the Chiefs defense in week 1. When the running game is somewhat above average or even just average, it opens Justin Herbert up a bunch. You saw it in the Raiders game earlier this year, and I know it's not incredible performance from Najee Harris and Amarian Hampton, but there were some drives where they had a 15-yard run. It's a massive impact, if I'm being quite honest with you. So Amarian Hampton coming back, I'm really curious if he's going to be limited with touches or he's just going to jump right in. Knowing the injury history, I'm hesitant to give him the same workload that he did before he got hurt, because we're playing tough teams for the rest of the year. We're playing the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Texans, the Broncos after we play the Raiders. And even the Raiders put up a good fight with the Broncos on Thursday Night Football not too long ago. So it's any given Sunday mentality where we are not safe. There's not an easy win. You've seen this year where we beat the Chiefs but lose to the Commanders or the Giants. We beat the Broncos, but we lose to the Jaguars. You feel me? So that's been the frustrating reality of this team is just hard to follow. And here's the thing, when they are on. That Vikings game, Everybody thought that the Vikings were going to come in there and dominate. Chargers blew them out of the water. The Steelers, they were going to be like, oh, well, they have an amazing pass rush and it's going to be way too much for Herbert and he is going to lose the game. We destroyed the Steelers. The Broncos had a really good start. There was many times where it looked like the game was in the Broncos' hands, and I was there to witness it myself. The Chargers dominated that whole stretch in the fourth quarter. But then you have people being like, it doesn't matter because it's regular season. Yeah. You get the gist. But again, this team is hard to follow. And I think the NFL season is hard to follow. Nobody in their right mind would have thought that the Cowboys would upset the Chiefs yesterday. So I'm only mentioning all these examples because I'm still nervous about Sunday. I'm nervous about every game due to the fact that if we are not consistent, if we don't come out the woodworks swinging and getting a home run in the first quarter or even the first half, it's going to be really rough. Ending the first half with just field goals is not going to win you football games. You need to score at least one touchdown, period. Like, the amount of times where we would get so close just for a Cameron Dicker field goal. And I love Cameron Dicker. He's the best field goal kicker we've ever had in this franchise. But it's not gonna put you over the hump. You can't beat teams with field goals. You can only beat them with field goals when you scored multiple touchdowns and you need a game-winning kick because you scored all those touchdowns and you just need to hit the buzzer beater with the field goal. So yeah, very interested to see how the offensive line performs, how Herbert's going to bounce back after a week of a bye week. Very curious to see how Aronde Gadsden's going to do, Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston. I want to see a little bit more of Trey Harris. He's had some underrated plays thrown in there. And again, I'm not going to make any more score predictions for the rest of the year, but I will make predictions when I say this. I think this is the year where if we do not make the playoffs, we got to fire the offensive coordinator or fire the management of whoever is running the training that's happening. So many injuries. It's getting to a point where it's just like there's got to be a change that needs to be made. But here's the plan going forward before I end this little episode check-in. The Chargers need to win against the Raiders. The Chargers need to win realistically 3 games to really be comfortable in the playoff picture, right? And I think it's very doable. How do they do it? They need to protect Herbert. I know. It seems like a difficult task for this team, but need to stay healthy and protect Herbert. I think Jamari Salyer stepping in at left tackle could improve with that. So we're going to see, knock on wood. But all eyes, in my opinion, relies on the defense. If the defense is on fire, if the defense is pressuring the quarterback, causing turnovers, we are in the best position, period. If we are sacking the quarterback multiple times, forcing turnovers, 3 and out, making them punt over and over and over again, Justin Herbert's going to take advantage. And it's going to allow the running game to flow a little bit better because whenever we're behind in games, thanks to our defense giving up 30 points, it's on Herbert being like, I got to throw this ball now. I can't run the clock out. I can't run plays to the running back. So he's forced to throw all the time, every single play. But you got to have a very secure running game to be successful in this league. And I feel like if Amari Hampton comes back and Kamani Vidal has been somewhat consistent in attacking with that combination of those 2 running backs, I honestly think this offense can still be effective, put up with those great defenses that are in the AFC. So that's my take of that's what needs to be prioritized more if we're trying to make a playoff run. And honestly, with how many injuries we've had, I will count this season as a win in my book if we win 1 playoff game. Just give me 1 playoff game. It's really hard to think about the Super Bowl when you see the amount of injuries we have, and the lack of consistent protection for Justin Herbert. It's hard to put this team in the Super Bowl talks. Maybe earlier in the year when Joe Alt was on the field, you could make a case, but would I simply count out the Chargers out of the Super Bowl race? Not necessarily. I wouldn't really count anybody out that's already, if the playoffs were to start today, I wouldn't count really any other team out. It's a little fishy with some teams. You have the Broncos, which you know, pretty light schedule. I mean, they beat the Chiefs, but they lost to the Chargers, and they barely beat the Raiders off of like questionable performances by Bo Nix. And then you have the Patriots, who are 10-2. We don't need to talk about how easy their schedule has been. So, and I'm only mentioning the teams that they face, and I want everybody to relax on the, oh well, they beat the Bills. Yeah, the Falcons beat the Bills. Okay, so like let's just halt on that argument. But it's been probably one of the weirdest seasons ever. And the way that we're looking at the playoffs right now could change in a month. So that's all I got to say about that. The Chargers need to have success going into the playoffs and potentially winning a playoff game. They need to attack on these 3 things. Protecting Herbert, at least average, like maybe a sack or 2 a game, and that's it. Not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sacks a game. I'm sick of it. So protecting Herbert, a consistent running game, okay? Scoring in the red zone, touchdowns. And I said 3 things, but I meant 4. Gotta have a great defense, period. And we have the potential to have a great defense. We showed performances like that over and over and over again, but also there's been some disappointing outlooks on the defense. So that's basically the episode. I wanted to check in, give you my insight about how I'm gonna look at the rest of this year for the Chargers. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I really hope we bounce back with the win against the Raiders, rest up for the Monday Night Football game against the Eagles, because that's going to be a toss-up game and it's going to be really exciting. And yeah, we're going to see what happens. And I'll see you in the next episode where I recap the Raiders game and preview the Eagles game. And I love y'all. I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you like this content, drop a, subscribe, drop a like and a comment. And if you don't like it, just do it anyway. It's like 3 buttons. So but yeah, anyway, it's been fun talking with you guys for a minute. I'm going to watch the Eagles Bears game because, football's on, might as well watch it. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and peace.